And I thought, is there another album out there that would possibly have
Hey, and welcome to Tremendous Views, where we're playing another round of Collection Connection. And that's the game that's just an excuse to talk about records. On Monday, Eric made his last play, which was the 1978 eponymous debut of Van Halen. Now, I had all of the David Lee Roth era Van Halen albums back in the day, but when I moved on to CDs as a format, I gave my entire record collection to my brother, to Plastic Eric. So I have not owned any of those albums since like 1990, 1991. So listening to it was a nice little trip down memory lane. It does not surprise me to know that 1984 was a huge album because I was here for it. And as Eric alluded to in his video, we didn't catch any of the hubbub, any of the commotion or cultural groundswell around the first album because it came out a few months before our family moved to England for 6 years. And Van Halen was just not big in the same way as they were in the States. And so what surprised me to find out a little bit in researching the album, it doesn't surprise me that 1984 was a big album, but I was surprised to learn that the debut is one of two, along with 1984 albums, that Van Halen has had certified diamond. And diamond certification is the RIAA, or the Recording Industry Association of America, certifying sales of 10 million copies. The list of diamond albums is only about 120 so titles long, so it's impressive to have two pitched up onto that list. But it does surprise me that the first Van Halen is on that list. You take away Garth Brooks and the Beatles, and there's just over 100 to go around for basically every other album that's ever been released. So my connection is another blockbuster. Contrary to my usual choices, I found that I only had about 12 of those diamond certified albums, but one of the ones that I did have, ironically, was released, I should say, almost to the week that our family returned from England back to the States. And that album is by Prince and the Revolution, and it's the soundtrack to the movie Purple Rain. There we go. So I've never seen the movie Purple Rain to this day. I've never watched it in its entirety. The clips that I've seen made it seem a little bit silly to me. So I'm distracted by my low battery flashing. And I can't say that I was a Prince follower right from the off. What my prevailing memory of Prince is, I didn't know if I was going to say pervasive or prevailing, kind of came out with prevailing, was kind of schoolyard whispers, thanks to the PMRC, the Parents Music Resource Center, compiling a list of 15 songs that they deemed too filthy for kids to listen to, dangerous music. And included on that list was a track from this album, Darling Nikki. Now, I'm not saying that by age 12, which is about how old I was there, that I had not discovered some of the fun tricks that my body could perform, but I didn't necessarily have vocabulary for it. And I think maybe in my naivete that I had to have the joke that everybody laughed about in The Toy, about a little boy being constantly called masturbates by the help, explained to me. And that was probably the first I had heard the term. And so I wasn't as corrupted as one would think, but there were whispers about this album. It was almost like an urban myth where, if you heard, he says this thing. And I don't know that I heard the song for a while. I think maybe there were one or two people I knew that had it, and you would maybe cue it up and listen for the taboo lyrics. But since it wasn't a single, it didn't necessarily live in the memory the way that then my exposure to When Doves Cry and Let's Go Crazy and a ton of the songs from here have. This is the first album billed to Prince and the Revolution. After being basically a one-man everything for his first few albums. He'd expanded a little in 1999, the album especially, but mostly to include more voices. He still did most of the playing of everything himself. But with Purple Rain, he really invited a new concept of a full band sound, and I think that the album really benefits from it. I'm afraid I'm going to run out of time. Gosh, I had so much good stuff that I researched and wanted to say. But suffice to say, Purple Rain is a classic album. Every track on here is great. Baby I'm a Star is probably one of the underrated tracks on here just because it wasn't a single on this enormous selling album. But top to bottom, it's great. I may not love a little bit of the theatrical touches, the talking, is the water warm? And I don't know that I feel like Purple Rain needs to be 9 minutes long. Epic song? Sure. 7 minutes? Fantastic. 9 minutes? I don't know that I needed that. But those are minor quibbles. And it hasn't been until the reissue with Purple Rain. I had waited for remasters before ever picking up anything other than a Prince Hits collection. And he resisted remastering his catalog for so long. This one was done with his input. It was remastered, overseen by him before he passed, but did not come out until about a year after Prince passed away in 2016. Fortunately, I can put the song onto our playlist because in his lifetime, he really didn't want his music on YouTube. But in betrayal of his personal wishes, it's all there now. So I'll hook up a tune, put it in the playlist. It'll be the link at the end of the video. And I will throw Purple Rain over to Eric and look for his response again on Monday. And anyone else who was watching, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.